All right, guys, we're going to be talking about Gordon Ryan and his armbar wizardry, escape wizardry, to be exact, with Helena Crevar here. They're starting in some positional rounds, and I'll let you guys watch this first sequence all the way through. What I want to point out, too, in these rounds, guys, when you watch this, is that nobody is wrenching on submissions. So this is just a good reminder that if you really want to get talented at these positions in the gym, it's really important that your training partner is aware that they can let their arm fully extend and then you're not going to crank it in order to give you guys a lot of work at late stage defense. I've heard Craig talk about this as well. A lot of the really high level grapplers understand this, is that you need a lot of time in these positions to try and work on really late stage defense without fear that your opponent or your partner in this instance is going to just break your arm while you're trying to work out late stage defense. So let's go back and watch this one again. This one is starting from Gordon having a reverse figure four grip or figure four grip to defend the legs. And then Helena just has a full juji, so two legs across. And if you guys aren't really familiar with armbar defense and the theories, I just want to give you guys a quick rundown. But this is the cross-face leg. The cross-face leg is very, very important in stopping turnouts. So hitchhiker escapes, that Gordon will be going in this direction. And it also helps keep somebody down. So if they try to come up and stack Helena, the cross-face leg is really important. The body leg is less important, but it still does help with stopping turnouts if you're back heeling, and it can also assist a little bit in keeping someone down on the floor. So this first one that we're watching, she tries to open up his elbows, and he allows her to do that. He goes to a 10-finger grip, pushes her down so that she goes and posts her hand as a bottom side post. And now Gordon is feeding the body leg to the arms. Sorry, the body leg to his legs. So why is this important? This is a really good tactic to use with arm bars because this space is what's holding Gordon's elbow within Helena's hip line. It's a lot like leg locks, guys. Arm bars are a lot like leg locks of the upper body. And so we need a lot of different maneuvers to get around different entanglements. And this entanglement right now, what's keeping Gordon's elbow off the floor and in danger is the connection of Helena's hips to Gordon's shoulder. So she's controlling the joint above the joint she wants to break, which is the elbow. And so when Gordon is able to feed this leg inside of his legs, it allows him to open up the gap of where his shoulder is being held so that he can slip his elbow inside. So Helena goes to try to open up this lock by putting her leg over, and Gordon feeds that to his inside knee. And now he's opening her legs and making it wide enough for him to start pulling his elbow through. You can see it's pretty much almost out. She's trying to maneuver to some kind of shoulder senkaku, which is a type of entanglement you can use once the arm's extended, and trying to feed it back, and Gordon does a really nice rolling escape out of it. So let's watch this one more time back. She's trying to break the grip with her bottom side leg. He feeds it into his legs. And this is important, guys, right here. He put his bottom side knee inside of her knee. And this is so that there's two legs inside, and he has the inside position, because if he doesn't, if he had his bottom right knee just jutted through and Helena had her leg inside, she could let go of this arm, jump across body, and actually attack a honey hole or a cross ashi. So just so you know, if you're going to do this, you want to have double knee inside. So again, she's trying to switch off to some kind of shoulder senkaku, and Gordon's kind of letting her do that without coming up. When she switches off to the shoulder senkaku, so she moves to this bottom side shoulder senkaku, and Gordon does a really good misdirection here in order to get his head underneath of her knee so that he can do a rolling escape. So let's watch that one more time. What I mean by this, guys, is when you get an extended arm, you can do shoulder senkakus, which are ways to control the posture without having to have a cross-face leg directly. And so it's a really unique way to still control your partner once you have the arm extended. It's terrible for opening the lock of the hands, but it's great for controlling a partner after you've gotten the arm extended. And so in this version, she has a bottom side shoulder senkaku, meaning the feet are towards the leg side of his arm. So if the feet were on this side of his arm, then it would be a top side shoulder senkaku. So she has a bottom side shoulder senkaku. And the way she wants to maintain control here is by stopping him from coming up and putting his ear on the outside of the thigh here, or stopping him from rolling out by putting her knee on the ground. In order for Gordon to roll out, he needs to look to his left and rotate in this direction the mouse is going, in this direction. But when he's rolling out in that direction and the knee is on the floor, it actually blocks his escape. So what Gordon needs to do is come up, threaten getting his head over this thigh, and then as that knee raises to adjust to keep him from doing that, he throws his head underneath the knee, which you'll see right here. He comes up and throws his head underneath the knee now that it raised. Again, really high-level dilemma for escaping. And now she's looking to omoplata him. He uses his knee to kind of post into her. Obviously, there's a huge size difference here. So this is still pretty lax play. But he's able to use the pinning of his knee into her ribcage to try to keep her from spiking him down. And then eventually it gets loose. He runs to this reverse scoop grip and gets his ear on the outside of the thigh, or tries to. Kind of like what we were just talking about he was trying to do before. So now, let's watch this next series. Helena has a figure four. She's turning into Gordon a ton, and Gordon just kind of lets her come up. But he underhooks the legs. Because the legs are so close to him, he can scoot under and invert and put her down in the direction she has no post. Now he's holding onto this leg so she doesn't stack again. This overscoop grip is really good. And he knows that she might try a rolling escape because she's turning that way, so he grabs a Kimura grip. If someone has a Kimura grip, they really can't do a rolling escape because as they roll, they'd have to leave their arm behind and you could put it behind their back and they basically Kimura themselves. So she's looking to do that knee wedge escape. She's gotten the legs, but she wrapped it around a little bit too deep. Again, Gordon could jump to cross Ashi now that that leg is so deep inside. He could basically take an outside Ashi here if he threw his leg over her body. And so he's trying to use this Kimura grip to keep her head down by flaring the knee and make sure she can't open and drop her, open his legs wider and drop the elbow inside. So we'll keep going through this. I'll rewind it once it's done. But this Kimura grip is really important, guys. The fact that she's opening his hips so wide with her leg positioning means that Gordon has to switch to the Kimura grip so she can't drop her elbow, because the Kimura grip keeps your elbow behind theirs. So now she's trying to roll out. He does this really good inversion, rolls her through, doesn't throw a crossface leg over, rolls her through again, and now she goes from topside shoulder senkaku to a passover escape. So let's watch that again, guys. Back it up a little more. So again, in this one, she's trying to look to get a knee inside. She does get her knee inside. This position's good. This is a little bit dangerous. Now that she put her legs all the way through, he could just jump over to the other side if he lets go of her arm and start attacking her legs. But he opts to keep her on the floor. She's trying to come up and stack by taking the crossface leg off. He's putting it back on. And this is really a good tool, guys, when you feel like somebody is intelligent with their defenses and they can come up and then go back out. Kind of what Gordon did at the beginning, where he does a misdirection by coming up and then throwing his head back down and going to a rolling escape. When you lock up a Kimura grip, if they try to do a rolling escape, they have to let go of their arm. So you just turn your Kimura grip to the right, in this case, and it would go behind Helena's back, and she would actually Kimura herself by trying that. So if you're worried about somebody switching up their defenses by coming up and misdirecting and going back down, it'd be really helpful to go to a Kimura grip. That's what he's doing here. So he brings her head back down with the crossface arm, as you can see. Kind of brutal. And again, she's got his legs really wide open. So there's not a whole lot wedging her shoulder in place. The only thing that's keeping it here now is the fact that he moved this Kimura grip, so she can't actually bring her elbow down and through the hole. It's really good control by Gordon. Really good timing and use of different grips. So now this is really important gripping for breaking apart the lock of the hands. Instead of trying to just pull at the elbow, he goes elbow deep with one arm and then grabs the top of the thumb line, the knuckle line of the hands with the other hand. So when he turns this way and he pulls in this direction, he's basically using his falling body weight against her rotator cuff in order to open the hands. And it works much, much better than just trying to yank open at the elbow like a lot of people will do. He talks a lot about that in his instructional if you guys want to find out more. And now this series is great. This is a way to negate the rolling hitchhiker escape. So let's watch that again. And I'll walk you guys through what's going on. Okay, so it's coming up here. She's going into the hitchhiker escape. So what he's going to do is he's going to take this left foot. And he's going to, as she gets up to a turtle position, he's going to take his left foot, pivot off of her hip with it so he can raise his hips up in the air and turn belly down. He wants to make sure that Helena, and when she gets up to a turtle, doesn't cut the corner around this thigh and get her ear on his thigh, which you'll see at the end of the sequence. He lets her do it. Let her do it around the side of the thigh. But when she comes up, what he's trying to do to negate that, that's basically what happens when somebody comes out to a rolling escape. They come out, and then once they get up to a turtle, they're trying to bring their ear to the outside of the thigh and smash your legs together and pass you. So what he's going to do is invert his hips, and he's going to go belly down and use his shin as like a shield over her face so she can't even get around the thigh. And then this leg, this foot, is going to be going over the back of her neck so that it makes her roll. So he pivots off of this hip right here. And then he's dipping his knee. You can see he's dipping his knee here. He's putting it towards the floor. And this foot is going to go over top of her head. So right now there's a foot over top of her neck. And he's going belly down to put pressure on the armbar. He's going to turn towards us and roll through. And now if Helena doesn't roll, the pressure of the armbar is going to be too much. So she starts rolling. And right here, Gordon could stop this sequence by throwing his cross-face leg over. So he'd have one foot under, one leg over. And Helena's only option here is to come up. So it's very predictable. The only reason the only option is to come up is because if she tries to roll out instead of coming up, remember we always play these two off of each other. If she tries to roll out, this foot on the back of the head is going to act just like that earlier knee wedge behind the head that Gordon had to come up and fake and get out of. It's going to stop her from rolling out. She's going to roll and all of a sudden she's going to get stuck. So she needs to roll. She needs to come up, and Gordon could throw that crossface over to stop her, but he just does the same roll again. He dips his knee, rolls through again, forces the roll. This time he goes to a topside shoulder senkaku. And what you need to do with the topside shoulder senkaku is they only have one route of escape. She needs to come up over this thigh because any attempt to go outside is not going to work because there's 2 feet underneath of her head. She'll never get past that because they're both on the floor. So she'll never be able to come up enough to actually throw her head underneath this because there's 2 legs on the floor. So any attempt to go out in this direction is a fake in order to get him to adjust his knees a little lower, and then she can come up around the corner. But she does a really good job. She understands where she is, and she just comes up around the corner to get out of this. Comes around, pass over escape, ear to thigh, folding his legs together. And then, once this happens, you're just pretty much out. So we'll see another series here. That last sequence where you're able to roll through several times, really you should only be doing it once, but I think he's being very playful here. It's a great sequence to learn in order to stop hitchhiker escapes. So Helena's opting to go for a far side shoulder lock, which is great because it stops Gordon from coming up. Like you saw, she flares her knee, makes it hard for him to come up, and it also makes it impossible for him to roll out because he can't even get his shoulder to the mat. So now she can go 2 hands on one arm instead of worrying about keeping a post to keep her from stacking her. She opens the lock of her legs, so now he actually has more range of different defenses he can use. He's trying to go for a hitchhiker escape. Pretty self-explanatory there. Was able to clear the legs off of his head in order to start rolling out. I don't think we really need to go back on that one, but the important thing to note here was the function of the far side shoulder lock, which is to keep someone flattened out and unable to do a rolling escape while you commit 2 arms to their one arm so you can use falling body weight to lock the hands. So now she has a figure 4 again. Gordon's kind of letting her turn in. He pops open the elbow here, I believe, unless I'm mistaken. No, actually, so she falls back down. He looks for the Kimura grip again, and And this time he shears off the elbow with his leg. His right leg is going to come over, so his calf shears off this figure four right there. And now this position is really useful because once he gets here, once he's sheared that off, typically the legs land in an X position where now he can hold on to the Kimura and pump with his legs to unlock the hands. I think she actually ends up catching his legs, so he lets go of it. Yeah. So she's getting her knees inside, which is good. So now he realizes if he unlocks the hands, it's going to be difficult to finish without a Kimura grip for the reasons we talked about earlier. So he holds on to it and just tries to repummel his legs instead of unlocking the hands. And so this is a small thing, guys, but this is really important for this type of escape. When you're bringing your knees inside in order to open the hips wide, you want to pendulum out so you can limp arm this arm out. The little pendulum she does with her hips towards his hips is what makes her have enough space between his widened hips in order to take the elbow out. And you'll see it right once she gets rid of this Kimura grip. Right there, pendulums and slips it out. Really nicely done. So you won't be able to just pull it out. You have to basically pendulum your arm out once you get the knees inside and the hips are wide. So this time, she's doing the shoulder lock again, and she's overwrapping, which is smart, guys, remember, because Gordon has a figure four. Figure fours are great for taking the pressure off the crossface so someone can stack you. So if you're holding onto their leg, it's harder to stack. She's trying to pump the elbow open. This grip is really interesting. He throws that in there so that it's hard for her to control his knuckle line and stop his thumb from rotating while he opens up the lock. And we'll show that again. Basically, she's got this far side shoulder lock, and what Gordon needs to do is chop with his elbow to open this up. Because again, like we talked about, you can't stack and you can't roll when there's a far side shoulder lock. So he needs to chop with his elbow, but he didn't have enough range of motion while he's holding his hands together. So he unlocks his hands, allows her to take his arm, and in order to buy himself time while he chops this open, he hides his hand inside of his calf. He puts his calf over his knuckle line, or he's being a little bit relaxed with it right now, but typically you put this in really deep and then cover your own knuckle line with your calf so that they can't grab your hand in order to control it while you start opening the legs with your other arm, and then you can go into all your other escapes. So you can see he does that and he pops this open right there. And now he can start going into his typical escapes like this, passing the arms and then trying to go up and out and back down again as a misdirection for coming up, the dilemma of coming up and then going back out for a rolling escape, which is what we saw earlier as well. Gordon on the attack again. He's got a topside shoulder post and he moves to a Kimura grip. So now he's shearing that elbow off with his feet again. Remember, guys, this is a great series if you guys are having issues with figure four defending. You need to use your cross-face leg to shear off the elbow. But again, she does a really good job of catching his leg. So he's unable to take his hands off the Kimura grip and actually finish it. She rolls through, and he's not able to pivot off that hip like before because it's stuck under. So he goes over and kind of converts to a Kimura, a side Kimura here. And he's threading his legs through the locked hands in order to start locking a Yoko Senkaku on the other side. He uses the Kimura pressure to roll her over, and now he's starting to thread his legs through. Now there's a dilemma being played between him trying to grab this arm and her trying to lock her hand so he can't Kimura her here. So she actually does a good thing. There's that grip again where she's hiding her hand. That's making it hard for him to control the hand and start doing Kimuras. And she's also playing between worrying about the Kimura and not allowing him to grab this arm. He's trying to grab the arm so he can pull her arm close and he can relock his legs and get a really tight strangle with the triangle, which it's not very tight right now, but if he's able to readjust, then he's going to be able to get a really tight strangle. So since she's keeping the arm away, this arm is free and Gordon should be able to Kimura it, but she's doing a really good job of fighting it and trying to arch so that she takes some of the pressure off, hiding her hand again from the Kimura while she's trying to work with this arm. What she should really be trying to do is when he unlocks this legs and readjusts just like that, she needs to come up into like a north-south position and basically explode out. It's really, really difficult to get out of this just like that, but she did it too late. So she can't come up, and now the triangle's very tight. And he's going to get the tap. I think they got one more, guys. So there's always a Kimura and triangle dilemma in that Yoko Senkaku position. So this time she's looking to thread her legs. Again, she tries to do it at the forearm. She should be trying to do it at the knuckle line. He was able to feed it because it was at the forearm into his legs. And again, she's trying to move to this bottom side shoulder Senkaku. Remember the feeder on the bottom side of the body towards his legs relative to his arm. And it's not great for unlocking the hands like we talked about. You need some kind of cross-face leg to have a push-pull motion to open up the hands. And so Gordon is able to keep his legs inside again and start trying to pendulum his hips towards her, which he's doing right now, and start to limp this arm out again. Yep, I think actually the timer ended. Thanks for watching, guys. I know I do pause a lot, and a lot of you guys were complaining about that. You got ADHD, I understand. But we're trying to be serious students here, and I really want you guys to get something out of it educationally. So if you enjoy that kind of content, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing in-depth breakdowns. I really want to show you the ins and outs of positions because I feel like I have that to offer you guys. So if you like that, drop a like, comment, subscribe, let me know. As always, it's Eddie with Crash and Flow BJJ.